Please welcome to the stage Jamie Haney, Jackie Gabershak, Corrigan Bailey, Angela Rollinson, and brand new to our team as of a week ago, Kelsey Owen. A big round of applause for this team. I would put this team up against any team in the nation. Y'all ready to get started? All right. How did you come to work at the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce?
I was formerly an elected official in Caldwell County and had resigned my position there and was looking for a job, and my sister was also looking for a job. And I heard that Becky had an opening, and so I told my sister to give Becky a call. She's wonderful to work for. She and I worked together at the Lockhart Chamber of Commerce, and for whatever reason, my sister couldn't take the job, so I called Becky, and I'm here today.
So I volunteered. So there's a word of advice there. I was a member of the chamber. I served on the board. I was chair of the board in 2016. My husband and I retired in 2020 just before the pandemic, and I left, but I had always helped Becky with the Patriotic Festival when we had it. And so we came back in 21. We were coming back, and I was going to help her again, and we got back a few days early, and so I just emailed her and I said, hey, do you need help with anything? I'm here. She's like, well, I haven't heard back. They had a staff member who'd gone out on emergency medical leave, so I came and filled in for that and worked 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And my husband and I left again. We were up in Central U.S., and Becky called me at some point and she said, could I convince you to come out and return?
Story up. Let's do the story up. So Wednesday before the Patriot Festival, I am really at Guadalajara. I know that's a surprise, but I was at Guadalajara drinking. Anyways, and so Rick says to me, he goes, you're awful calm going into the Patriot Festival. And I said, it's because Jamie's here. And anyways, he goes, you just need to hire Jamie. And so that's what I said. I was relaying the conversation with Jamie, and she goes, yeah, I don't want to talk to you about that.
Thanks, Rick.
I was working at the Art Institute, that Art Institute, and I did a little bit of contract work because I think Chris had just left, and there was a newsletter that needed to go out, and that he was looking around trying to find someone to get this newsletter out, and my supervisor over at the Art Institute contacted me saying, hey, would you like to do some work for the Chamber of Commerce? I'm a person that likes to help and do things. I said, yeah, got that newsletter out, and she remembered me from that one thing. And after leaving the Art Institute, I got a call from Becky asking if I had anything going on.
So you held me between Chris and Corbin coming on. 10 days on the job. Did you know you were going to do this when you got hired?
Definitely not. It was really a cosmic thing. I just moved here from Georgia in December. I grew up coming here my entire life. My dad and stepmom are the Bastropians. So one of their friends had overheard Becky at Old Town saying that they just got...
I was there for lunch.
They just got funded for an administrative assistant, and he's like, well, I know somebody that's moved here and that would be perfect for her. So I came walking into the Chamber of Commerce, and they were not expecting me to be walking in. So I caught them off guard, and I met Jamie first, and then she asked me to send in my resume. So I sent over my resume, and I guess they liked what they saw.
Well, my husband and I moved to Bastrop about 5 years ago, and the first thing I did was get involved with the chamber as an ambassador, because that's what you do to get to know your community. I moved up from the Rio Grande Valley, was down there for 32 years, served as an ambassador for a little over 20 years, worked my way up the board, and was chairman of the board in the Valley. So again, there was some opportunity. People were going on vacation, and Becky asked if I would come and do some contract work. So again, volunteer, came in, and I sat in that first position as the assistant, administrative assistant, engagement position came up, I put my application in. So, the rest is history.
And I couldn't believe I had this talent right in my nose for 3 years on the ambassador committee, and so Jackie's really elevated membership engagement experience, so it's like Jackie. So for me, my first job out of college, I was an ambassador for the Abilene Chamber for 13 years. And my husband's banking career took us to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and so I stayed home with our boys for about 5 or 6 years. And then when we moved to Lockhart, it was late 2007, early 2008, and we all know there was kind of a bust in 2008 when we had a home that was for sale back in Dallas and trying to buy a home in Lockhart. And Rick looked at me one day and he says, "Okay, babe," he says, "I was prepared for 12 months of double mortgages. We're 10 months in, I need to get a job and pick up payment on a second mortgage." So I went to work at the Lockhart Chamber of Commerce, and 2 weeks later we had a contract on that house, closed on it. And I thought, well, if I don't like it, I can quit now and go back to staying home. And I found that was my passion, my love, and what God created me to do. So I served over there at the Lockhart Chamber for about 7 years. And then Rick decided to make a job change, and he took a job at Roscoe Bank. And the first week on the job, he went to a chamber lunch in June of 2014. And at that time, it was a much smaller lunch. It was held either at the Bastrop Opera House or at Hampton Inn sometimes, and then the property LCRA down on the hill. And so at that time, you stood up and introduced yourself because there was less than 100 people. And Susan Wendell, my predecessor, looked at Rick and said, "Your wife's the president of the Bastrop Chamber." I was like, "Yes, she is." And Lockhart. And she looks at him and says, "Would you like to move to Bastrop? I'm retiring in August." And so I applied. Jamie was on the hiring team. Johnny was on the hiring team. His claim to fame was stealing from Lockhart. And anyways, here I am 10 years later, starting at the Bastrop Chamber of Commerce, and proud to be here. So.